So, in the last module we have discussed about the cell signaling process. Today we will start with the discussion on the different cell fate processes. So, if we recall that cell fate processes essentially means that you have a if you have a material substrate on which you have a eukaryotic cells, truly nucleated cells, and you have some of the focal adhesions on the material substrate. So, essentially some of the macromolecular assemblies are formed. So, focal adhesions, the biological role of focal adhesions is to transmit mechanical and regulatory signals to the interacting cells. Mechanical and regulatory signals to signals from ECM, that is the outside extracellular matrix space, to cell. So, this is one way that signal is being transferred to this eukaryotic cell. Another thing is that this material substrate has certain elastic stiffness. So, this elastic stiffness essentially acts as a mechanical cue. So, depending on what is the mechanical stiffness of the material, this eukaryotic cell would now want to do several of these things, which I will try to explain here in this slide. So, this is a small eukaryotic cell. So, you have these focal adhesions and all. So, it can decide to migrate or to undergo cell motility. That means that it will go from place A to place B here on the biomaterial substrate itself. So, you have the cell focal adhesions here, or it can decide to undergo cell differentiation. Okay. So, I am drawing this eukaryotic cell intentionally with different nucleus which is hatched here. So, this is your differentiated cell or more mature cell type. So, it can undergo cell differentiation or cell migration, or it can undergo two daughter cells. So, you have two daughter cells. So, that means it can decide to undergo cell division. So, at least three cell fate processes has been mentioned here. So, I repeat, one is division, second one is differentiation, and third one is migration or cell migration. So, so depending on the combination of signaling molecules, if you go back to the last slide in the last module. So, depending on the combination of different signaling molecules which are present in the extracellular matrix, or which a particular cell, which a given cell receives, it can decide to undergo cell division or differentiation or migration. So, having said this, let me now discuss each of these topic with little bit more details, and we would like to develop some understanding that how these cell fate processes take place in a biological system containing biomaterials and different cell types. So, first one is the cell migration. Cell migration is essentially, as I said, cell migration is also described as cell motility, and so these are like synonymous terms, and essentially it is like crawling or walking of a biological cell on a material substrate. and it is very similar to a baby walking on a floor. Similarly, when a biological cell walks or crawls on a material substrate, it is called as cell migration. So, it plays an important role in various physiological function of tissue as well as some of the pathological processes. Some of this has been mentioned in this slide, like tissue repair response or wound healing or angiogenesis. So, all these typical pathological processes demand the cells to migrate locally from one place to another, which may be separated by some hundreds to 1000 microns. So, what is the first stage of this cell migration? The first stage is the protrusion of the membrane lamellipodia. So, this slide essentially shows schematically a cell is adhering on a material substrate. This is your focal adhesion. So, this is one focal adhesion, this is second one focal adhesion. So, the cell is trying to move in this x direction, and this is your forward end and this is your rear end. So, that is the back end. So, this is your nucleus here on this and then you have the cytoskeleton is extended all through the cells. Now, this particular inset essentially shows that there is a process of depolymerization of the actin filaments is taking place. So, this is the process of depolymerization. So, depolymerization leads to several of the monomers from the actin filaments, and that kind of getting accumulated at the forward end of an advancing cell. Now, this small dotted arrow essentially indicates when these monomers again will be repolymerized, it will advance along this dotted line, or the forward end of the cell will advance along the dotted line. So, there are several kind of podia in the cell. One is called filopodia, the second one is called lamellipodia. So, the essentially the role of these all these filopodia and lamellipodia is to assist the cell in their locomotion or assist cell locomotion or assist cell motility on another elastic substrate. So, this has been also explained here in terms of text. So, it is the first one is this so first one is the protrusion of the membrane lamellipodia and advancing towards a certain directions. Second one is that adhesion to matrix by integrins. So, that what it means, then once these dotted lines, remember in the last slide I have shown this dotted line, along this dotted line a cell advances by few microns, then this advancing edge of the cell. So, this is your advancing edge. So, this advancing edge of the cell will only be stable if and only if that advancing edge also establish focal adhesion with the underlying material substrate. So, the formation of the focal adhesion is key as far as the stability of particular cytoskeletal part of the cell, and that has been shown. So, this is your new focal adhesions that has formed and this focal adhesion once it forms and then attach, then it helps the cell to attach to the substrate much more firmly at the advancing edge, and there will be a contraction force at the rear end, and these contraction forces are approximately like 10 to the power 4 microdynes. Micro means 10 to the power minus 6. So, 2 into 10 to the power minus 2 dyne. So, dyne is your gram per centimeter square. So, essentially I am talking about this traction force is of the order of 0.2 into 10 to the power minus 2, that means 0.02 dyne, and 1 dyne is gram per centimeter square. So, this is a CGS unit. So, essentially you can see that how small is that force that actually is generated as a traction force here, and this traction force, because of that presence of this traction force, what is the next stage it does, that it released the this focal adhesion at the rear end is released. So, this is that stage 1, this is stage 2, this is stage 3, and this is stage 4. In the stage 4, what will happen? These focal adhesions, these FAs are now released, or they are now kind of lifted off from the matrix, helps the cell to migrate along this x direction. Okay. So, this entire biomechanical process, biochemical and biomechanical processes involved here in the cell motility is explained in this particular slide. As you can see that the cell was initially at this position A, cell has now moved this position B. Remember, this A to B distance can be of the order of just micrometer, micron range, simply because, as I will give you some numbers within next few minutes, you will be able to realize that the speed at which a cell migrates on any elastically stiff substrate varies in the range of tens to 100 micrometer per hour. So, essentially in 1 hour a cell can move in a particular direction only by tens to 100 micrometer in the length scale. So, therefore, the way it appears here exactly it happens in a real life scenario. So, I repeat that cell initially was at position A, and it has forms these 3 focal adhesion. This is that macromolecular complexes. Now, slowly that cells is now advancing along this direction along the arrow. This involves actin polymerization as well as protrudes lamellipodium, and then after that then there is a contraction force here, and that allows this particular focal adhesion to be released. So, this focal adhesion is released at the rear end, and once this focal adhesion is released at the rear end, it is lifted off, and then this helps the cell to progress one step ahead. So, this entire process allows the cell to go from place A to place B, and along this green arrow, The another thing that is important in the cell motility is that some cells they can grow or they can migrate in one particular direction for at least few hours, but some cells they often change the direction along which the cell moves. So, this changing direction, that how frequently or how soon that the cell changes its direction, that is determined by persistence time. So, I will go to that some few numbers I will just show you. So, persistence time is defined as the time scale over which a cell moves without the changing the direction significantly. So, this persistence time I have mentioned a few cell types in this particular slide. Let us take the example of mouse fibroblast cells, that is the AL929. This cell line is quite widely used in the biomaterials research. So, therefore, let me circle this particular cell line, the numbers related to this particular cell line. The cell migration speed of AL929 cells is 30 micrometer per hour. That means, in 1 hour the cell can move only 30 micrometer. The cell size of this AL929 is somewhere around 20 to 25 micron. That means, what it means, then in an hour a cell can move over a length scale which correlates with the size of the cell itself. So, therefore, you can very well realize that how slowly a cell moves on a material substrate. The second thing that what you see this now another number, that is persistence time, which is like 1 hour. 1 hour essentially means fibroblast cells can move on a particular substrate in a particular direction, in a linear direction only for 1 hour. After that, it may likely to change the direction and migrate in another direction, or it can change the direction. Some of the other numbers like endothelial cells again their cell migration speed is similar to L929 mouse fibroblast cells, 25 to 30 micrometer per hour, and persistence time is little longer, is 4 to 5 hours. Persistence is fairly small, fairly short. It is for the rabbit neutrophils, which is like 4 minutes, simply because it also has a extremely high speed compared to L929. The speed is like 1.2 millimeter per hour. That means it can go over a millimeter in a given in 1 hour time frame. So, this is enough of the cell migration. So, let me go to that another one, this is called cell division. So, cell division essentially means that a mother cell divides to 2 daughter cells. I will just show you that some of the different stages of cell cycle as well as mechanisms, different mechanisms involved, how to quantify cell division and so on. So, the cell division is very important because once a cell adheres on a material substrate. So, this is your material substrate, this is your cell. So, one of the things then when you are growing, when you are seeding the cells on a material substrate, or when you are culturing the cells in a typical culture flask like a typical biologist they do, whether the cells are viable and in its perfect growth pattern, that is monitored by counting the number of cells after different time scale in the culture. Same thing when a cell will adhere, that one of the thing that we need to know that after they are adhering on a material substrate, whether the cells are able to grow in an uncompromised manner like it would otherwise have grown in a typical culture flask. So, if you have a typical culture flask, so this is a typical culture flask, like you have a culture medium, you are growing the cells. So, here if you grow the cells will grow very fast like 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. Whether this kind of growth pattern is compromised simply because it is now not being grown in a free manner, in an isolated manner in a culture flask. Instead, it is now grown on a particular material substrate. So, for those kind of analysis, you have to understand that essentially how a biological cell divides and grows. So, this is an overview of the mother cell undergoing the cell cycle, cell division to 2 daughter cells. What you see that this is when this cell division starts, it also starts with the chromosome replication and cell grows, like cell increases its size, and then after that there is a chromosome segregation is taking place. So, it is now showing certain indication that some furrow formation and some indication that cell is likely to divide to daughter cells. Remember why I am saying cell is likely to divide, because all the cell division process also depends on whether the appropriate signals are present in the cellular microenvironment. So, around the cell. So, this is their cellular microenvironment, and whether the cellular microenvironment contains the signaling molecules, that way I have mentioned in the last module during the discussion on the cell signaling process. And once this signaling that sufficient signals are present, then cell will finally divide to 2 daughter cells. Okay. So, this is a typical eukaryotic cell cycle. You have this, so there are something called G naught G1 phase, that is the gap phase. Then you have a S phase, that is a synthesis phase, and then you have a gap 2, that is a G2 phase, and you have an M phase, that is the mitosis phase, that is the nuclear division phase. And then after that it goes to cytokinesis, that is the cytoplasm division. So, mitosis, nuclear division, cytokinesis, that is the cytoplasmic division, and that takes place in the M phase. So, if you consider a kind of a clock, the way it has been shown, the major part of the clock is now contains the interface, that is the G1 plus S plus G2 phase. And then the way it has been shown here, it is very clear to you that G1 plus S plus G2 is more than 80% of the total cell division cycle time. So, at the G1 phase, a cell can stay for variable lengths of time, and after passing a few checkpoints the cell enters a S phase. And then S phase, it is typically human cells, they stay for 8 hours, and G2 phase another 2 to 3 hours. So, S plus G2 is almost like 10 hours, it is roughly. So, so that what are the different checkpoints and what is the role of these different checkpoints? The checkpoint number 1, that is C1, what you see that a cell will try to enter or wants to enter from G1 phase to G2 phase. So, as it tries to enter from G1 to G2 phase, G1 to S phase, the certain questions need to be answered by the cell, that is the cell big enough, is the environment favorable, is the DNA damaged. So, what it means is that whether the protein synthesis has taken place while cell is staying at the G1 phase. Environment favorable means whether the signal molecules are present or sufficient signaling is taking place. That means the signal molecules to be there for both cell survival as well as cell division both. So, you need to have certain extra signaling molecules which will influence the cell division process. If the DNA of the cell is damaged, then cell cannot go to S phase, it will remain in the G1 phase. So, another thing that I must mention is that G1 to S or G2 to M or S to G2, that for that matter of fact, these are like irreversible process. Irreversible means once a cell goes from G1 to S, it cannot come back from S to G1. So, G1 to S is a irreversible phase. Similarly, when a cell goes from G2 to M, again it is a irreversible process, it cannot come back to G2. So, this is something called commitment. Commitment means once a cell goes from G1 to S, that means cell is committed to go to S phase, and this commitment will not be it cannot be reversed, like it cannot come back to G1. Now, for example, let me explain these things with little bit more time. For example, if some of the questions that was asked here, the answer is not favorable, then what will happen? A cell would stay in G1 phase, and after some time the cell would activate its own suicidal mechanism to undergo apoptosis. Apoptosis means programmed cell death. Similarly, when a cell wants to go from G2 to M phase, again cell has to answer to these two different questions. Is all DNA replicated? Is the cell big enough? And if the answer is yes to both the questions, then only cell will be committed to enter to M phase. So, this is your G2 checkpoint, and that is another. So, this is your G1 checkpoint and this is your G2 checkpoint. So, these two checkpoints are very important, and they determines the level of commitment of the cell to undergo the cell division process. And finally, once it goes to M, definitely this cell would go to 2 daughter cells finally. So, 1 mother cells will need to go to the 2 daughter cells. So, all these points that I mentioned, this has been summarized in this particular slide. So, most cells require much time to grow and double their mass points than they require to replicate their DNA and divide. To substantiate this point, there are some numbers mentioned here. So, total time taken in the G1 S plus G2 is 23 hours, and typically cell cycle if for any given cell type is 24 hours. So, it is more than 90% of the time a cell spends at G1, S and G2 phase. Second one is the 2 gap phases, that is G1 and G2, provide time to monitor the internal and external environment of the cell to ensure that the conditions are suitable before the cell commits itself to the major upheavals of S and G2. And if the extracellular conditions are favorable and signals to grow and divide are present, then only the cell is committed to go to G2 near the end of G1 and goes to G2, and once it is committed, it is a irreversible process, and if they will once it goes from G2 to M phase, even if now the signal molecules are removed from outside the cell or in the cellular neighborhood or cellular microenvironment, cell is now committed to division, and that cannot be stopped. Essentially, once it crosses the checkpoint from G2 to M, no matter whatever is the cellular microenvironment, cell will now divide into 2 cells, 2 daughter cells. Typically, in a given cell populations, 30 to 40% of the cells are always in S phase. Now, how to quantify this? What kind of cells? What is the fraction of the cells? It is in G1 or S or G2 or M phase. Typically, these things can be done by fluorescent activated cell sorter analysis or FACS analysis, and the other things that in this FACS analysis they do, they will quantify the fraction of the cells that is in G0, G1 or S or G2 and M phase. So, at any given point, if you see when you grow this culture, at any given point if you find the fraction of the cells which are at the S phase increases, and then fraction of the cells at G2 and M phase decreases or they remain constant, that means you can understand that there is some problem with the cell division process, that cells are somehow getting stuck at the S phase. So, that is why S phase it increases and they are not able to go from S phase to G2 phase or G2 M phase. So, these are some of the other points that is also mentioned, and these are summarized again. That is that if a cell fails to pass these checkpoints, it initiates apoptosis and die, and these all the checkpoints, the significance of these checkpoints are essentially summarized in these points and this point, that is going from one phase to another phase, and the cellular biochemical events that would not be otherwise biochemically linked. So, this is the checkpoints, that is that why these checkpoints are important in the cell division process. This particular statement explains that. Other things that I have mentioned, and I repeat, that cell cycle transitions are unidirectional and therefore, it is irreversible in nature. So, it goes only in one direction. How to quantify the rate of cell division? This has been mentioned here. Let us say at any given point of time, if the total number of cell is x, so dx by dt is equal to mu x, and this is a simple equations, mathematical equations you can solve, and you can get these values like at any given point time t, x t is equal to x naught, that is at time t is equal to t naught exponential mu t. So, mu is your growth rate, that is a log natural 2 divided by T d. So, T d is doubling time. For most of the human cells, the doubling time is 12 hours. Therefore, mu max maximum is 0.06 per day. So, I think I will stop here and then we will start with the next model.